Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we are going to be doing an assessment on the new Heroes path that has come out, the Path of the Clover. So it is St. Patrick's Day, I believe, today. I'm not Irish, I'm Welsh, but I'm not Irish, I'm not really sure. However, there is a new Path of the Clover event that has just gone live in the game, and it is a training and dungeon divers event. So whenever you're looking at these hero path events, normally one of the two ways that you acquire the coins are going to be much better. I always call it the more dominant way to do it. If it's summoning with dungeon divers, then 9 times out of 10 the summoning is where you get all of your points. When it's artifact enhancement with something like dungeon divers, it's artifact enhancement. In this one, it's training and dungeon divers, and I'm pretty sure, without even doing the math, that training will be the way to go. But let's have just a quick look in terms of what is in this event. There is, on first glance, a substantial amount of anniversary tokens. We are talking 6,000 anniversary tokens, which is a huge amount of anniversary tokens. That is more than like double any other event in a single point of time. So that's something to keep in mind if you are obviously progressing to try and complete the Titan event. We've only got about 4 to 3 weeks left on it, and right now my forecast have us around about 90,000 to 100,000 points total that's available, and you need about 77,000, so you can't afford to lose too much. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is incredibly bait. Be careful. This is not the champion, this is an avatar. It looks like the champion. You look like, oh my god, I can get a champion for 2,000 coins. You can't. You get an avatar. This should be like, you know, they need to make this a little bit more clearer, because people in my Discord community who were going, oh, I can get the Shamrock. I'm like, no, you can't. It's not a champion. It's an avatar. I know you can click on it. I know they're not trying to, like, you know, I know they're not saying you can get this champion, but when you look at it at first glance, it's not clear that you're not getting a champion here. It's a little bit like suspect for me. That's a bit bait. But the path is going to be pretty flexible, right? So I'm assuming, like all heroes paths, when they're not bugged, that you are pretty much like you can jump across different places. So if I come down the right hand path here and I want the left hand path, then I can go down, get the anniversary tokens, and jump between the different paths. When I get this ancient shard, I can go the epic into the tier 3 soulstone, or I can go the epic into the void shard, and I can probably go the epic into the XP boost as well. Or I can go for one of these coins into the legendary book, right? That's how these paths work. You don't need to get all of the parent path to get the child path. The big thing to note here is there's legendary books available. So this effectively replaces a traditionally normal training event that's going on. So that's what you always think when we see these types of legendary books on a hero's path. We have to compare it to what would we have had with a normal training event in terms of the legendary book that exists in those. We also get a tier 3 eternal soulstone. These are still quite hard to obtain. I think I've only ever used maybe 4 in my entire account history. So having one available on a hero's path is worth an investment if you care about souls, but that's a whole nother topic. We've got a tier 2 eternal soulstone over here. So I think generally I would say the path on the right is a little bit more desirable if you want the legendary book, because I think a tier 2 stone is probably more valuable than a 200 coins. You could argue that technically 200 coins is about the equivalent value of sort of 7 to 8 of these tier 2 stones, because if you get 10 of these tier 2 stones, you get 300 of these coins. So you could argue that these coins on the left are more valuable if you care more about the high eternal stone. That's a reasonable argument to make, but I think for most players who probably don't invest heavily into lots of stones, the chance of getting a 3 to 4 star is probably going to be better than 20% of a tier 3 stone that you might get in the future. So that's what I would say is the right hand path is a little bit more desirable, but the right hand path is a little bit more expensive. So in terms of the overall reward structure here, I think it's not so bad. Obviously the Titan points are very desirable if you want to try and finish those high end points. You know, I'm on around about 61,000, so I'm going to get to 68,000. So in addition to all those rewards, I'm getting 500 energy, this diamond chest that I'm probably going to get silver out of, because there's still silver in these chests. Why, Playroom? Why? But, you know, it could be another legendary book. A void shard, and then obviously I'm very close to that immortal soul essence. So the Titan points are worth it if you've been pushing it. So let's just jump into the analysis. I've now had to update it. One thing to note here, we now have mythical artifacts. So you get 64 mythical artifacts and 49 mythical artifacts, which is not as efficient as it looks. We're going to have a look at that as well. So I've updated the chart. Let's jump over. Let's do the analysis. Let's do some math. So the first thing I want to do is look at, in terms of the total amount of rewards, what are we having available to us? So we have 2 ancient shards, 10 core hammers. We have got 2 epic books, 65 gems in total, 2 legendary books. There's about 400,000 silver available. There is 6,000 anniversary tokens, as I've mentioned. In terms of an overall total, this is a pretty good reward pool. How much in total does that cost us? Well, in total, there is 120,000. If we look down here, 120,500 coin requirement if you want to get everything on this event. If you want to get all of the rewards, you're going to need 120,500 clover coins. The way that I've structured these paths is I've obviously tried to figure out what would be a desirable route for all players. So in terms of this, I've basically picked a path that covers the left-hand side with the legendary book, and then a path that covers the left-hand side with the Eternal Soulstone. So you're picking either the book or the Soulstone route. Then I've done the same thing for paths on the right-hand side, because it's a little bit more expensive. It's like 500 coin difference. And obviously it's got that tier 2 Soulstone. So some people might prefer the coins, other people might prefer the Soulstone. Especially if you're on like 800 of those tier 3 coins, then that 200 is actually access to another Eternal Soulstone. So that might be more like appropriate for your account at the time. Then I've picked a path which is basically 1 Eternal Soulstone and 1 legendary book. Then I've picked the path which is both books and the Eternal Soulstone. And finally, I have a path that kind of covers all the rewards, right? So anything that says bonus here, I'm factoring in as not an essential part. Now, for the first row, the cost of either the silver or the coins is basically the same, right? So whatever one is the same as bonus for the point of the math here. But effectively, things like anniversary tokens that you don't need to get towards the bottom rewards, things like the Chaos or the 3-day XP boost and the Void Shard, I'm considering as bonus rewards, something that you wouldn't necessarily put your points into to get what you want. To be honest, I'm assuming that most players are going to be approaching this wanting either the legendary books or the Eternal Soulstone as the kind of final reward for doing the paths. Those are the two that I would imagine players are going to want. If they get enough coins to get a bonus Void Shard or like some extra anniversary tokens, then they'll take it. But I'm guessing that's what players are going to want, is that kind of big rewards at the end. So how does this work in terms of structuring? Well, obviously we've got Dungeon Divers Point. And as I mentioned, we've now got mythical points available to us. So we need to update all of our tables. We've got 64 for a mythical 6-star and 49 for a mythical 5-star. And I'll be honest, adding mythical and 10 hard stages has not made this more efficient. If anything, it's made it just as bad as it was before. So how do we actually calculate this? Well, we have to work out first the individual odds of me getting all of the different rarities of artifacts on stages 16, 20, 24, 25, and I've done 10 hard. If you are farming 24, but you could do some stages of hard, then the way to look at it is any additional stage of hard is going to be more efficient, because effectively you take for every stage of hard, you take 1% out of the rare opportunities, and it goes into 50% of that. So 5% goes into legendary and 5% goes into mythical. So pretty much if you want to look at 25 here, any stage of hard is going to be better than 25. I'm just looking at the final stage, which is 10 hard, which is kind of like the end goal. We obviously have 16, 20, and 24 for everyone who isn't farming higher stages, and also for efficiency comparison. So we've put the odds into here. We have to reduce the odds by 0.5% overall, because there is a 0.5% you always get an ancient shard, which means you get no coins. So these odds assume and include the probability that you might get an ancient shard as well. We take the odds and then we multiply it with the amount of coins you get for that specific rarity and rank, and that gives us then an individual coins average for that rank and rarity. We can work it out for all the different rank and rarities you get on that particular stage, and that gives us a total sum of the average per run of clover coins you're going to get. And then we can obviously translate that into, okay, it's 20 energy to run that stage, how much coins per energy do we get? So when we look at this analysis, then we can say, okay, stage 10 hard gives us the most amount of average clover coins per run. That makes sense, right? It's got mythical gear. It doesn't have any 4-star gear. It reduces your rare opportunities, so it has the highest chance of getting you legendary gear, epic gear, and mythic gear. Makes sense. But the problem, of course, is 10 hard is 20 energy. So even though per run you get average more clover coins, you actually get less average clover coins per energy. The best energy stage is actually stage 16, because you get, for 14 energy, 27.5 coins. Now that works out better averages per energy. It's not that much difference between stage 20, so a lot of people would probably run stage 20 because you get rid of the 4-star gear, so you're getting gear at the same time, right? You're not just selling trash. But then we can see there's a big divide between 24, 25. Now 10 hard is better than 25, so if you were previously running 25, it's much better to run 10 hard, but you're still going to be penalized versus 20. So I would say for most players, if you want to invest extra dungeon diver points for light coins, stage 20 is where it's at. Now, when we take that into an actual analysis, we can see these are the paths that I just mentioned that I've set up. I've set up two paths for path 1, the left-hand side, which is either going and getting the legendary book or the eternal soulstone. This is the most efficient, cheapest way to get there. So we're basically not taking reward paths that are really poor for us. Path 2 is basically the ones on the right. And then I've got a path which basically gets you a book and the eternal soulstone, which I think is the left-hand side for efficiency. And then we also have path 4, which is basically all the books, both the legendary books and the eternal soulstone together. So it basically works out, if you want a legendary book, it's about 26,700. Is it about 500 more if you want to go the right-hand side path? If you want the eternal soulstone, it doesn't matter if you go left or right, it is the same amount of points. Finally then, if you want both sides of the books and the stone, it's about 60,700 coins. And then the final path is kind of like the greedy path. If you want both the books and the stone, it's 78,200. So how does that translate into runs? Well, obviously we need to earn a certain amount of coins. We just looked at the coins per run. You can take that, you can divide it with the coins per run, and it tells you how many runs you need to do. Higher stages, you run less amount of times. However, because the additional energy cost, you actually spend more energy. You do less runs, costs you more energy. The most efficient way to do it is probably, in terms of energy, stage 16. But in terms of runs and efficiency and gear, it's probably going to be stage 20, right? We can see the difference in terms of runs is about 120 less runs, but the difference in terms of energy is only around about one single refill. So I would definitely say, stage 20 is going to be there. But as you can see, like I said at the start of this video, there's always one dominant way to earn coins, and Dungeon Divers always ends up being the worst way. If you wanted to just get a legendary book, we are talking 13,679 energy just in Dungeon Divers, right? If we did no champion training, we didn't get any other points, then you'd need to commit just under 14,000 energy to be able to get all of the coins required to do your legendary book. That's just the legendary book. Now, it goes up to 22,000 if you want the Eternal Soulstone. If you want to be greedy, we're talking 40,000 energy or 2,500 dungeon runs. And you've only really got 4 days to do this. So they're basically telling you at Playroom HQ, you're doing champion training with a bit of Dungeon Divers. You're not doing Dungeon Divers. Like, if you wanted to do the entire path, we are talking 61,736 for the most efficient way to do it in terms of like time and energy. I think stage 16 is more efficient for energy, but it's not great. And we can see like stage 10 hard, if you used to run 25, has had a material impact, but it's still quite a lot more than stage 20. Mythical Gate isn't really a justification for why there's more Dungeon Divers points, because it hasn't really made a significant difference. We're still farming stage 20 if we want to be efficient, right? That's not made a change. They can't make the statement that, well, we've added Mythical, which is giving you more points, which means it's easier to complete Dungeon Divers. That's not true. We're running just the same amount of stage 20 as we used to on the efficient scale, but now we have to spend a lot more time doing it because we need higher rewards. So what we can also do is compare this to a typical Dungeon Divers event. Now, obviously, you're not going to get the same amount of rewards. Dungeon Divers doesn't contain legendary books, Eternal Soulstones. The rewards are much more premium in a hero's path. But if we were to compare kind of like, okay, well, if I wanted to get the legendary book, that level of investment, how does it compare to a full Dungeon Divers event? Well, I put the point requirement at about 6,500. That's gone up from 4,500 in my previous hero path assessments because they've increased Dungeon Divers by quite a bit. You can see that basically compared to a normal Dungeon Divers event, you're having to invest around about 60% more resources to get that legendary book. Now, I would say that's probably reasonable considering it's a legendary book. However, that's a significant amount of investment for, you don't get an awful lot on the way, right? You get some anniversary tokens, the odd ancient shard, but all you're doing is getting that legendary book. There'd normally be an epic book on your way to Dungeon Divers with a Chaos Ore, so you are spending more resources compared to a normal Dungeon Divers. Now, one thing to note here, which I was a bit confused at, the 10 hard and the 25 normal, it's actually less efficient compared to a Dungeon Divers on 10 hard versus 25. They're rounded up here, but essentially the way that it's looking at it is essentially that Dungeon Divers gives you more points overall for mythical gear than the coins you're getting from these hero paths. They're slightly undertuned, not by much, like probably about 5 to 10%. But it basically means that Hero's Path is worse for mythical gear than Dungeon Divers. In terms of the TLDR here, don't expect that you're going to be able to do this path by doing Dungeon Divers. If all you do is Dungeon Divers and all you want is a legendary book, the most efficient way is around about 855 stage 20 runs. That's a lot of dungeon runs to do in 4 days. Now let's talk about the champion training assessment. Not much has changed since I've done an assessment here in the last champion training. The way that I always calculate these things, I offer 2 routes. You can either make rank 6 champions, so that's actually ranking a champion, or you can create food. And the way we calculate this is we assume that you're going to take rank 2s for making champions to a rank 6, and then we assume for making food, you're going to take it from rank 2 to a rank 5. So what we're actually working out here is, I prefer the food route because I think it's more efficient. You can basically take champions up to rank 2 to rank 3. We partially level rank 4 and rank 5 to level 14 and level 25 to give us some bonus clover coins. It's much more efficient to do that than to just feed them straight away, similar to the way you would normally do a champion training event. And we're taking, if we're doing level 60s up to about level 30 as an average here. So we can basically go from rank 2 to rank 5. How many do we need to generate? How many coins does that make? What's the averages of all the different dungeon coins we get as well with an XP boost? There is like 2 days of the Forge Pass remaining, which I'm not factoring in here because it's very difficult to assume and calculate that in. So I'm not assuming you've got the Forge Pass either because you would have had to pay for it. All I'm assuming is you're going to be running campaign with an XP boost so that we can do the average amounts of energy that you require. We're then, as I said, also boosting our coin acquisition a little bit because we are running campaigns. You will gain bonus Dungeon Diver points from the campaign. I factored that in here so you can see we can basically say, well, how much XP is it required to take one rank 2 to rank 5? It's about 3.35 million XP. That can tell us we need to do 129 12-3 runs, which is about 1,000 energy, which gives us a bonus 1,365 clover coins from doing campaign, right? So that's bonus on top of the training. Then we can work it all out. I'll put this Excel in the description below so you can check all my math if you want. I'm not going to go into like War and Peace on the training, but check the numbers over if you want. You can use it as well for your own personal reference, but I've done this math now for about 3 heroes paths. It's pretty okay. What it works out is basically if you want the legendary book, you're going to need to create 4.28 rank 5s. Now obviously you can't create 20% of a champion. It's just the average. So you're probably going to need to make just over 4 rank 5s, and that is going to take you 4,428 energy. Keep in mind, I just told you needed to do 13,000 energy for Dungeon Divers, but if you want to get the legendary book with training, it's only 4,400. This is why training is the better way to acquire these clover points. Now, if you want the Eternal Soul Stone, it's more points. It's about 7,164. Now, I'm assuming the campaign bonus here. If you're not running this in campaign, obviously you don't need the energy cost here. You can use brews to offset it. But I'm saying if you did all these champions exclusively in campaign in sort of a brutal fashion, I don't calculate Nightmare, I calculate brutal because it's more accessible for players. That's about 7,164 energy if you want to get the Eternal Soul Stone. If you want to complete the entire path, the entire thing, you want every single reward, it's just under 20,000 energy of champion training making food. You would need to make around about 20 rank 5s. From rank 2 up to rank 5, partially leveling rank 4s and rank 5s, you would need to make around about 20. And that would get you all the coins you require to complete the path. So in terms of like, what do I think about this? I would say it's a very good option to get a legendary book. 4,000 energy, 4,400 energy to get yourself your hands on a legendary book, plus some Titan points along the way, is not a bad trade-off. If you are in the free-to-play phase, or if you're looking to get some more champions made up, then you're double dipping, right? There is an Ice Golem tournament happening at the same time, so obviously you can like double dip with the Dungeon Divers there for the Ice Golem tournament, for the Fusion, but predominantly, if you care about this event, you do champion training. Now, I would prefer to have a book and stone path. That's my desirable position. I'd like to take a book and a stone, or the stone. So I'm looking somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 energy myself. So there's a lot of grinding to do, and obviously it's campaign grinding, so it takes a while. But that is the analysis here of this event. Let's get back into the game. I just want to mention at the same time, there is a summon rush on the system here. So We did fear that they would do a 5-15 split, and they have put the 15 at 4,300. It's a Pythian level problem again. It's really high up. It's rough, guys. There is 3,000 anniversary tokens available if you care about that sort of thing. So, I mean, we knew this was coming. It's pretty shady. If you've been doing the fusion, you're kind of all invested. You got to go for it now. And I'll be honest, I'm not like insanely fussed about the ×10 options for me as a player. Like, I don't want Supreme Aethel. Zero value to me. These champions, I've already got a couple of Mashleds. I've got a couple of Kyokus. I don't really see any place that Samson the Masher places. I would say, however, for a free-to-play, for a like newer player, like these are amazing. If you are trying to build a clan boss team and you do not have Deacon or Seeker, they are huge. Mr. Adidaithi on the free-to-play, I don't know if you caught the video 2 days ago. He is now becoming quite a core part of my free-to-play. Very, very good champion, must say. Very good. And of course, Seer is like god tier wave killer, even to this day. But the legendary options are much worse than the epic pool. Now, I'm in a position where I've been going for the fusion. So if I want to get the fusion, I'm going to have to pull shards. Simple as. I've only got 55. There's only 10 fragments you can drop. So you have to go, because they've done this is why we were saying we think it'll be a 5-15 split. If it was a 10-10 split, you could stop at 20-20-50. But because it's a 5-15, you can't afford to lose 15 fragments. That will not get you enough points to get the champion. So yeah, it's a bit shady. I could sit here and complain about it, but it's not going to really make a big enough difference. So it is what it is. At least the champion is not Pythian level, right? When it was Pythian, we were like, Pythian is so good, we don't want to lose it. She's just an okay nuker. Nothing special about it. If you've missed out, like it's frustrating if you've got that close. You could even do some sort of big brain strategy here and get yourself all the way to the end, because if you get to 95 fragments, it might actually be cheaper if you're struggling for fragments and shards to get to 95 and buy the 5 additional fragments than it would be to buy the shards that you require to get the extra 15. Now, I'm in a good position because we won some things. I can pull my sacred shards and my void shards, keep holding my ancients. I'll get myself quite close. You can't really use any extra champions you have in your portal, so it's fine. But I'm wondering, is it actually more cost effective for a player if you're a low spender and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to have to buy shards. I don't want to buy shards or whatever reason. Do you just pick up this 5, complete all the event, wait for your 95, and wait for that thing to pop up, and then buy 5 fragments for like like £10, maybe £15? I don't know what they priced the fragments at. But yeah, that might be even a better strategy here. But anyway, let's finish this video out. I'm going to pull my sacreds. I still want a Kaimar. We still want all these other champions. The ×10, to be honest, doesn't really matter. It's such a low chance on non-void that it's almost irrelevant. If I pull a Supreme Aethel out of my void shards, that will hurt quite a lot more, because that means I reset my mercy. But for the sacreds, it doesn't matter. The ×10 is negligible. It'll probably be, I'll be honest, 5 epics. We start with the Skull Crusher. Amazing. For clan boss, not. Oh, we do get a legendary. Okay, we get a Longbeard. All right. I already have a Longbeard, so it's not new. But hey, we got a legendary. That's better than nothing. At least I don't have to waste all these sacreds. Because essentially we're wasting these sacreds at the moment just because I don't really want the epics, but I need the points. And it's the best access to those. We're going to pull the 6 voids as well because, again, void shards are much more valuable. We do get another deacon. I already have one of those. But yeah, we'll take a Longbeard. Now, what does that do to my Skinwalkers? Well, we get ourselves a bit more Axiom resistance. Take that. Not bad. So at 6 more voids here. Let's see what we get. I don't want the Supreme Aethel. Please don't give me the Supreme Aethel. I'll take another Seer, though, I guess. I've already got, like, loads of them. ×10 on voids is very good. You get a very good opportunity to get good champions. We're talking, it's, like, insanely... It's like side-by-side, non-void versus void. It's, like, night and day. So, definitely, like, I know I'm putting voids here, but I know I'm very far away from my mercy because I only got Necret a couple of weeks ago. So I'm rebuilding my mercy counter up here by doing this. Now, I could pop a random legendary, but let's be honest, the likelihood is this is never going to happen. All of these are useless champions for me. There's only a few void epics that I would value a secondary one of. I do actually need to pick up a secondary Geomancer. For some reason, I do not have a duplicate Geomancer, and that would be very helpful. So we pulled, what, 5 sacreds and 6 void shards. How much did that get us? So it's got us close. got us close. It's got us down to 3,200, but it's not enough. So we're going to have to try and find the extras because I personally don't want to buy the fragments. Now, thankfully, this kind of an okay deal. I'm not advocating spending here, guys, right? I can see the comments streaming now. You're a crack, and I'm not advocating spending, but I bought the first tier of this because you get a Sacred Shard and a couple of Voids and Ancients for like £24. It's not the end of the world, right? It's kind of like half of a monthly pack, which is normally pretty good for shards. So that's enough for me, because I've been efficient with my resources probably, to get me over the line that I require to get those fragments. So it's still expensive, you know. We do get Queen of the Library, Alika, really, really strong damage dealer. I need to start using my Alika more. Queen of the Library hits really hard. But yeah, these shards will get me over the line. Now, I'm wasting them shards, so it's still an investment to get another champion that I probably won't use an awful lot. It's not great, but hey, it is what it is. We'll pull the last of these. We'll see how many more we need, and then we will close out the video. So there we go. We need 100 more points, so we might as well get them from a 10 pull. We need to make some space. We're just going to pull 10 Ancients. So we've got some space. Let's pull the last 10. This brutal summon rush. They've got me. They've hooked me in. It's going to be 10 rays just to ruin everyone's Friday afternoon. Where's the whole St. Patrick's luck day? Look at that. 10 ancient shards down the drain. I'm hoping we will get the guaranteed soon, because it's always very difficult me seeing 136 ancient shards and not wanting to spend them. But that is the summon rush done. It is over. Thank the Lord. I probably didn't need to pull a 10 pull, but it was just easier. There you go, guys. That is the end of the analysis. My TLDR of Path of the Clover: do champion training, do your fusion, but don't miss all of this, because these anniversary tokens are worth getting. And if you can get yourself the tier 3 Eternal Soulstone, they're not exactly flying off the shelves available for you. It's a very worthwhile thing to get. But if you can't, then a legendary book for 4,000 energy, give or take, of training is probably a very good deal. It's as good as doing the champion training events. And you do pick up, like if we look at this left-hand path, you can pick up some of these coins, anniversary tokens, 40 gems, anniversary tokens, and ancient shard, and these things. I would say probably for an extra 500, the right hand side is better. You could, if you wanted to, go down the left to the right, but I think tier 1 coins are better. I think then this tier 2 soulstone is better with the legendary book. And of course, the final TLTR, it's an avatar, not a champion. Plarium. That should be saying avatar somewhere. It's very misleading. People didn't realize it. That is the end of the video. If you've liked this deep dive into math, please give this a thumbs up. It's not for everyone, but I do these every single time because people do want to know the efficiency rates. They want people to work out the summary, and that's the summary for you. I will put the Excel spreadsheet I used in this video in the description below, so you can make a copy and use it however you want. If you want to see more of these videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and all of these new videos that come from our channel will come straight into your feed. And of course, if you want to see me live and want to interact with me in a more direct basis, I stream on this YouTube channel Monday and Thursdays now, and we have some different QA sessions. We help out our community and memberships and minions who join the minionship. We did a bit of dragon testing yesterday, and I did build a pretty funky dragon team that I'm trying to make stabilized. We have a good time for a couple of hours. It's normally at 8 p.m. UK time, and we stream for about 4 to 5 hours. So it's a good opportunity if you want to ask some questions, you're not sure how things work, or want to just like hang out and chill and talk about Raid. Come hang out on that stream. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.